There are never enough speculations when it comes to Daniel Ricciardo. Throughout the season, the Aussie has been linked to numerous teams. Since the buyout with McLaren became official, it became evident that Ricciardo isn't going to be a podium threat anytime soon. Ricciardo has even gone so far saying he doesn't want to drive just for the sake of it after declining a vacant seat at Haas. That is why he was heavily related to other teams such as Red Bull and Mercedes as the reserve driver, and it seems like the deal is done with the Brackley-based team. Stick around with us until the end of this video to find out why Ricciardo's signing with Mercedes is almost certainty a done deal. Ricciardo's last 2 seasons at McLaren haven't been glorified ones. The Aussie has struggled a lot with the Woking-based team, and although he scored 5 and 7 in Singapore and Mexico respectively, it's far from a decent season. He's been absolutely outperformed by Norris throughout the season, and his recent finishes are truly helping the Woking-based team in the fight with Alpine for P4 in the Constructors' Championship. After some recent news about Hamilton and his future with the Brackley-based team, it became evident that Ricciardo's chances of becoming a starting driver at Mercedes are slim to none. However, this doesn't mean that Ricciardo will give up on Formula 1, as his plans to remain in the sport are still active ones. This is something that he has spoken about multiple times, and as of now, there are 2 scenarios for him if he chooses to deny the vacant seat in Haas. The first one will see him go to his homeland in Australia and spend some time outside of the sport. This is something that Ricciardo desperately needs, as he said, and a year off the sport could do him good because he'll return more motivated than ever. I won't be on the grid in 2023, but I want to be in the sport. I still want to be working with a team with the ambition to be on the grid in 2024. This is why we are propelled to think that the scenario is a more realistic one, and that is Ricciardo being signed as a reserve driver in a top-performing team just so that he won't lose the feel for an F1 car. 2 teams have emerged as top candidates, and they are Mercedes and Red Bull. However, the Austrian team is unlikely to offer him this seat because they already have lots of young drivers they need to give free practice sessions to and chances to improve themselves in AlphaTauri or Red Bull. So we're left with Mercedes, and the chance of Ricciardo being signed by the Brackley-based team is something we are likely to see in 2023. When talking about Ricciardo earlier this season, Wolff had nothing but praise for the Aussie, saying that the team had laid eyes on him much earlier than everybody thought. "We always had an eye on Daniel. We really like him in here. It's just a mentality in Mercedes. I sometimes feel that if you're happy in your relationship, it's not always easy to change. It is like being married. You need to be 100% behind it. It was not a lack of interest, it was just that we were in a happy relationship and there was no need to flirt with another woman at that stage," said Wolff as to why Mercedes never signed Ricciardo until now. But why would Ricciardo sign with Mercedes when it's obvious that he won't receive a chance to start off the 2024 season in Mercedes? According to Wolff, Hamilton is on the verge of continuing his contract with the Brackley-based team, and this will likely be a process that will last for some time, like the initial extension that Hamilton made earlier in his career, extending his contract until 2023. "We haven't started having talks. We definitely want to finish the season and then find some quiet time over the winter like we did last time around. The last contract talks literally started during the winter holidays and lasted over 2 months. We haven't done that, but he's much more than a driver to us now." Although we're not talking about a career end, it's also important to speak about his role as an ambassador for Mercedes and the many sponsors that we have, and the implication he can have on our wider audience. Even Hamilton spoke about the future with Mercedes, saying that this is definitely the team he wants to retire with and that his goal is to continue with Mercedes. "My goal is to continue to be with Mercedes. I've been with Mercedes since I was 13, and it really is my family. Mercedes-Benz is my family. They've stuck with me through thick and thin. They stuck with me through being expelled from school. They stuck with me through everything that was going on through 2020. They've stuck with me through my mistakes and blunders. They've been in the press. They've stuck with me through the ups and downs. I really believe in this brand. I believe in the people that are within the organization. And I want to be the best teammate I can be to them because I think we can make the brand even better, more accessible, and even stronger than it is. And I think I can be an integral part of that." Wolff had nothing but praise for the 7-time world champion, saying that the Briton will decide whether or not he should retire, given the fact that he has the ability to recognize when the time will come for him. He's not being led by his emotions, like I've seen with sports people who think it can go on forever and try to hang on to it. Lewis is rational and intelligent about it. He says, "I know I have a shelf life as a racing driver." Lewis knows that one day he will not be the best himself anymore. That hasn't happened yet, but we've been talking about it. He said, "I'd love to continue. Do you think we can do another 5 to 10 years? As of now, Ricciardo's only chance to be signed in 2024 is if he is able to provide quality driving for that particular team. That could be done if he is signed as a reserve driver for Mercedes, because he'll be able to maintain a high level of driving and he won't forget how to drive an F1 car. Not that we didn't have some successful sabbatical stories such as those of Alonso, Raikkonen, Schumacher and even Magnussen. However, the former three are proven world champions, while Magnussen's conditions for returning to Haas are 1 in a million, and if it hadn't been for the sacking of Mazepin, it's very unlikely that we would have seen the Dane returning back to F1. So what's next for Ricciardo? Obviously, he has a long road ahead of him for the 2023 season, but he doesn't have much time when it comes to thinking through his options. As for the starting option, the only one available right now is Haas. Steiner spoke about the situation, saying that he doesn't quite understand why Ricciardo isn't considering Haas as his next destination, and that is a question that you have to ask the Aussie. If he's interested in us, he's not shy to call me up. I'm not going to chase him down. I want him to decide what he wants to do for himself first before being talked into something. I think he's a good driver, and I don't know how he got into the situation he is in now, but I think he needs to come clean with himself and decide what he's going to do. For us, he would be a big hit. He was a race winner just last year. I rate him as a driver, and I have no idea why he doesn't perform right now. That is for him to figure out. It seems like Haas has chosen Hülkenberg as a replacement for Mick Schumacher if they decide that they won't continue with the German driver. Steiner spoke highly of Hülkenberg, saying that a man like him is definitely going to bring the team to the right place, which only goes to add to the narrative that Ricciardo to Mercedes is a done deal. A man like Nico brings experience. What can a driver do to make the team better and bring us to the top? How much risk do you want to take? With a young driver, you usually take more risks because you don't know how far he can go. You can't calculate that mathematically. With that being said, what do you think about this move? Do you think the deal between Ricciardo and Mercedes is done? Or do you think that as of now, they're just empty rumors? Let us know in the comments below.